Hi, I'm Midge Shoemaker, and today is day 65 of my doing 100 days of YouTube videos and celebrating myself. So, yay for day 65. I'm glad I only have 35 days left to go. Anyway, so for today, I decided to celebrate avoidance, which is kind of a really odd, random thing to celebrate. But I figure, I've probably said this in other videos, I need to celebrate the things about myself I like, as well as the things about myself that I don't like or that I find frustrating or annoying. And avoidance is one of those things. But as I was thinking about avoidance and choosing to celebrate avoidance, I realized that, it's kind of one of those two-edged swords where if I avoid too many things, I get overwhelmed because nothing gets done and it all piles up, and it's really not a good character trait that I have. I also avoid confrontations, um, which sometimes can be a good thing because it may keep me out of trouble. Sometimes maybe not, because I'm not necessarily standing up for myself. But it also occurred to me as I was last night, as I was thinking about avoidance, that avoidance is also a waiting game. Not really a game, but if I'm avoiding something, maybe I'm not ready to face it. Maybe I'm not ready to deal with it. Maybe I need to focus on some other things until I'm ready to deal with whatever it is that I'm avoiding. So it kind of gave me a little bit of a positive side of avoidance, to realize that because my problem is if I avoid one thing, I have a tendency to avoid everything else, so nothing gets done. But it gave me a different perspective or idea that if I'm avoiding one thing, that I can either look at that one thing and see why am I avoiding that, or I can continue to avoid that and just focus my time and energy on other things until I'm ready to deal with whatever it is that I'm avoiding. Because maybe that avoidance is just a self-preservation thing, of protecting myself from something that I'm not ready to face or to deal with. Or maybe it's God's way of telling me, no, the timing is not right for whatever this is, so we'll take care of it later. It's okay to avoid this today. So, or maybe avoiding doing things for the day is also another way for my body to be like, we need a break, we need to rest, we are doing too much for the physical condition that I'm in, where so it's kind of like, okay, well, maybe I'm just need the break. So I think it's kind of nice to see that there's maybe some positive sides to avoidance. Me, usually when I see avoidance, I see it as I'm just avoiding getting all the things done I need to do. I'm avoiding being productive. I'm avoiding facing my past or my emotions. I'm avoiding confrontations and people and situations that make me uncomfortable. But I should probably avoid situations that make me uncomfortable. Bad situations that make me uncomfortable. I do know that we have to get outside of our comfort zone. I have to get outside of my comfort zone. And sometimes it is better to actually confront or speak to people about issues that I'm having with them, or that they're having with me, or whatever it is. I'm just really bad at that. So I just really avoid it, because I also like to avoid hurting people's feelings, which is, I think a good thing, a positive side of avoidance. Avoid hurting other people's feelings. So it makes me aware of what I'm doing, so that I won't say or do things to hurt people's feelings. I know certain people that I avoid just because they are toxic for me. They're not healthy for me to be around them. They trigger me and trigger negative things, negative memories. So it's good for me to avoid those people in those situations. So it's really nice I'm really grateful that God has shown me a different perspective of avoidance and celebrating avoidance. I'm thinking, great, I'm celebrating this thing that drives me crazy because I don't get stuff done. But I'm grateful to know that there's a positive side to avoidance, that it can be necessary, and a form of self-preservation. And it is possible that for me, it's just been taken to the extreme. It's a little bit out of one of those character traits that's out of control, because I grew up in an environment where I felt like I needed to avoid as a form of self-preservation. And as an adult, I don't necessarily need to avoid to for self-preservation, avoid things as much as I do, but it's become one of my default settings. Anytime I get triggered or some trauma thing is going on, avoidance is what I do. Run and hide, that's what I do. So it is one of those things that needs to be brought back into balance for me personally. But I'm really grateful to have a different perspective, to recognize that it has been a form of self-preservation for me. Also grateful to recognize that it is still can be a form of self-preservation. Also grateful that it is a way for me to just set aside things until I'm ready to deal with them. Maybe it's a signal that there's something going on that I need to look into. So grateful for that, and grateful to know that it's still okay to avoid people and situations that are triggers for me, that make me feel uncomfortable, that I know I should not be in. And so it's okay to avoid things like that. So I'm just grateful to see a positive side of, or a useful side of avoidance. Because again, my brain just sees it as a default setting that's negative and gets in the way. So I'm really grateful that in choosing to celebrate things that I see as not so good in myself, I can actually see a positive side of it, or at least a reason for it. And maybe I don't need to avoid as much or as many things in my life as I currently do. Again, it's one of my old default settings. It needs to be reset. But it is a protective setting, and I am grateful that it is there. So I am grateful for that. And that is what I have to celebrate for today. So if you like these videos or you find them helpful, you can hit like, subscribe, share with someone else if you think they'll like it too. And I hope you have a great day full of gratitude. Find some fun ways to celebrate yourself, and maybe do some writing.